Hey everyone! After episode 2 of Around the Lens, Depth of Field, which focused on concert photography, was over, the panelists decided to kind of shoot the breeze for a little bit after the show. In fact, they did it for so long that we have a whole other episode essentially for you to have, and where the panelists talk about a whole range of other topics that they didn't discuss during the actual episode itself. So we thought it was pretty interesting, and you might enjoy it. So please enjoy this bonus episode of Around the Lens, Depth of Field, Episode 2, Concert Photography.
I had,
I'm sure.
I did a whole, I did a whole series of prints of this stuff, and it has paid off. It's definitely paid my rent for a couple months, so that's nice.
That's
I
awesome.
wound up doing like 8x10 prints that I was like selling, and I'll probably put some of those on eBay as well. 8x10 prints, and what I did was I was smart about it, and I took a bodega bag and filled it with the confetti from New Year's in Times Square. So everybody that buys a print gets some of the confetti.
Oh, look at you.
That's smart.
Like, I mean,
That
all
is
of us,
smart.
like the guys from NBC that I became friends with, and I've like been able to do like some stringer work with them as well. Like a lot of us were literally just filling our pockets.
It's like,
with
that's
the
great.
confetti
That's
at the
great.
end
It's
of
like
it.
taking dirt from Ebbets Field, when Ebbets Field went away, taking dirt and all
And
that
it's
stuff in a little vial,
And
That's
it's crazy
awesome.
because the confetti was going on. Like we looked the
Like
next day on
bombs.
eBay, and the confetti for like 8 pieces, someone's selling for like $30, and I'm like,
That's
Good
hilarious. I thought the Dr. Fauci baseball card was pretty
Yeah.
pricey. When that first came out. I was like, what? $1,000? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
No, I was saying to Jen before, I'm saying you shot a couple of things like outside drive-in type of concerts,
Yeah,
right?
I did the Revivalist in New Orleans. It was part of Voodoo Fest, which happens in New Orleans. They had done a drive-in series. So I shot for Live Nation, one of those. It was the Revivalist. It was mainly to get, it wasn't more to get music, it was more to get like how they were socially distancing, what people were
That's right.
doing, how that they were, maneuvering around the pandemic to make concerts happen. So it was more marketing, but I was able to still shoot music, but it was fun.
That's cool. Zach, have
Yeah,
you been
that's
shooting
cool.
like anything birds or anything birds in flight?
That's all we got on Long Island here.
I know.
No,
I know. I don't know. Do you know Mike Corrado? You know Mike Corrado. I know Jen knows Corrado because Corrado's a Nikon guy. He's like the Nikon guru. Corrado shoots birds in Long Island a lot.
no, I've been doing a lot of. I've been like doing a lot of my archive stuff with old images, and then my wife and I just had our first child, so I've been doing
Yes,
a lot
congratulations.
of
That's awesome.
photos of him. Oh, thanks.
Hey, that's
A lot
cool.
of stuff there. Yeah, it's definitely a different purpose now, which feels
I'm a
good.
baby photographer, and then in the next few months.
Yeah, it pays a little different than wedding photography. I'll tell you what though, I don't miss red carpets, and I know that some people would get their.
I never liked them. Never liked them.
don't-
Never wanted to do
I
them.
don't miss that. I didn't enjoy them at all. So
My bucket
Think
list
about
is
the
to shoot
saltiness
like
in every photographer.
VMAs. That's my bucket list. One day
what
on
is it?
VMAs. VMAs are the Grammys. I want to do an award show. That's my
Oh
bucket
yeah, but the whole like you can't even do this when you're there.
Yeah.
Like you
It's a
don't-
special. It's a
Yelling.
special breed. I know a lot of those
Yeah.
guys. All the Getty
Yeah,
guys. Special breed.
you said it exactly right. It's a breed. It's a special breed.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not there.
Don't
It's
you
a
like
special-
have to yell at the artists and stuff? Don't you be like, look here, look here?
So
You
horrible.
know what it is? It's like hours and hours of them standing around. So not only is it a
Yeah.
special breed, but it's a special smell sometimes when you
Yeah.
stand
Oh my god.
next to people
I mean,
for
there-
hours and hours, right? Kevin knows
There,
that.
yeah, and there are press people out there as well that are the same way, because like we're all running around the city and we'll see like if a building collapses or something catches on fire or shooting, like the crazier the environment, like we'll all bump into each other. It's a very small community.
Yeah,
here.
no, that is
Yeah.
too. You're running around. You're like Ouija now, running around trying to get like
I will,
shots of
I
dead
will
people.
tell you, I will tell you this, out of the pandemic, just trying to be able to figure out how to pivot and then keep things going, doing press work, the one thing that has been very beneficial was becoming official through the NYPD, and I have NYP plates on my car.
Oh,
So,
that's
dude, I park
Wow.
anywhere,
Yeah, that's gold. Huh?
anywhere.
Well, you
Like,
can't park anywhere now with the snow mounds we have in New
Yeah,
York.
totally.
Unless you're gonna park on top.
I'm in Chelsea right now. I'm parked outside on like a truck loading zone only that they're supposed to pay. My office, everybody pays for parking. That's like $50 for the day. I'm pretty sure people are like, screw this asshole. I just pull straight up, take my car keys out of the car, walk in the door, and like
You
the
need to
cops
rock
look
that
at
for as long as you can.
dude, the cops look at me and they're like, "Can't touch your car." Like that's it. Like I've had one
Oh,
ticket,
man.
and I was like, "You want to know something? I'm not gonna fight it." Like I've saved thousands in New York City with parking.
So Zach, what happened at the Garden? So they let Rebecca go, and George Kalinsky retired, right? I mean, he's like 90.
Well, he's still technically there, but
Okay.
it's a whole. That's a whole.
He's
like,
he's not technically 90. I mean, he is not. Well,
yeah, I don't remember exactly how old, but yeah, I mean, he's still he's there doing. He's still considered the MSD photographer, but yeah, the whole department's gone really, which is unfortunate. But yeah,
they
so
let everybody
hopefully,
go. Wow, that's crazy. So you were going, you got let go. Rebecca Taylor, who was there for decades and
yeah,
ran the photo department, basically was let go.
yeah,
And
the
George, I
coordinator.
guess, I mean, George shot Muhammad Ali and like Sonny Liston, so you can't let
Yeah.
him go.
He's been there a long time. Yeah, and he shot a lot. He would do like the Nick games every game, or most of the
Was he
games.
doing
Now.
Ranger games too? Was he doing hockey?
No, he would only do like the major things. He would do when we would have like a lot of people on. He would do those, and he would occasionally do a concert here or there. He did. I forgot what artist he knew, so he would always do that artist. But he was more just kind of pick and chose the various things that he would want to do. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
So he's technically still there, but
55 or 56 years, I think. Somewhere
long 60.
somewhere in that neighborhood. Can you imagine Jen
Yeah.
shooting 56 years at a venue? I don't know if I could do that. I'm 6 years at Hammerstein, but I haven't shot in a year. So can you imagine 55 years at Madison Square Garden, the old Garden? Before they built this one, he shot at the old Garden.
That's where he was. Yeah, he has a lot of the archive images. Yeah, it's crazy.
Now, was he also shooting Radio City, or was it you guys kind of running around doing Beacon and Radio City and that kind of thing?
I mean, he was in the department, so it was all the same. It was all, if there was a big event or big something, and if he wanted to be there, he could be there. It all depended on the access, honestly. And sometimes we only could have one person, even though we were the house. So it didn't really. And sometimes when we were, even though we are the house, we could only shoot a certain aspect to it. Like we couldn't do tight shots. We could only do wide shots showing what was going on in the venue to document it in that way. So that's another reason why like we could do it in that way, because we had the agreement that we weren't posting them anywhere. We weren't doing anything with them. So we could shoot it because of that reason. But I mean, yeah, we did everything. It was the Radio C Beacon before they got rid of the Forum. We were responsible for the Forum. There's the Chicago Theater. There was a place in Boston. They're building a place in Vegas right now that is going to be very interesting to see. I don't know if you guys heard about that at all. It's the Sphere. Have you guys heard of that in the news?
No.
It's a new MSG. They're considering like the MSG of Las Vegas, and everything about it is new technology. The whole outside of it is some type of electronics, so that you could have a whole design on the outside to be whatever you wanted. Kind of like how at MSG there's the marquee that they would throw photos on and advertisements. That would be the entire building, the outside of the building, and it's essentially a ball. A whole sphere is the whole thing, and there's a gigantic screen inside that's the size of the whole wall. Essentially, it's like the building on the inside.
Right.
So it's I mean, Google it later to read about it because I'm not doing it justice. But it's the whole new, like a completely new entertainment experience. So it went on hold for a little while during quarantine, but they're still building it now. And I don't know where it stands, but the intention was to be able to not franchise, this is not the right word, but do this in other locations. So when in the summertime, they were making progress on doing a Sphere in London. And they were going to do the same exact thing. So it was going to be a similar a Sphere for a venue, but all different technology and a whole different viewing experience, which is kind of crazy. But we would, when that would start, MSD would be maintaining and managing that in terms of the photography. So it's kind of crazy. I'm definitely interested to see how that's going to play out, especially because that's being built now. So they can change how they would want to alter that for the COVID stuff. So
yeah,
I'm very curious what that's going to be like.
Yeah, for more like the home experience. Does George
Right.
have a different? Did George have like a different deal with regards to owning the photos, or
Yeah, completely different. Yeah, it was so
yeah,
different.
yeah,
Yeah, he owned stuff in the beginning, and then he had a contract after that. But then before that contract, it was like the Knicks one, the Rangers one. So it was like all the major things that like MSG wants or stuff that he technically owns, but it's dual partnership now. So I mean, not don't take that for word, but it's essentially like MSG could use that for what they wanted for the most part. So
yeah. They have like a rights sharing agreement kind of thing.
yeah, something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there wasn't, and there was a good relationship. So there's always communication open, and he would be, he would know anytime that an image needed to be used, and we had access to everything. So it's not like there was any bad blood or anything like that. He's still part of the conversation, but it's just in a different way, especially now because he's also, I forget the age, but he's the high risk group. So he shouldn't really be at any.
Yeah, I think he's 80. I think he's 80. Hey, Jen, have you ever like done any repurposing of your photos? Like I know George did that a lot, where he had kind of like painted over or like paintings, right? He did that. Zach.
He that was a big thing, is that he would take especially a lot of his old famous photos. So some of Ali, it was that people love just organically because the photo is great. He would then paint over it himself, and he made, there's actually some of them in the arena now where there were giant canvases that he would paint over in some capacity and make it a little bit more abstract, and the photos in the background, and then, or he would sometimes emphasize different curves in the photo itself. So it's very, very cool, and I don't really know when that started, but it's very cool way to, or another way to a different creative way to repurpose the same images that you've already had.
Yeah, Jen, have you done any of that stuff?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not much of a person that does anything beyond taking the pictures. I'm not a good editor either. So if it's not, I mean, sharpness, color, I can do that in editing. That's about it. But being creative, I wish I was more creative. I think the only thing that I've ever done was I did a picture of Billy Corgan that I took. We were at Soundboard, and I'm a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan, so I did like some space type, like kind of like a nod to the Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness album cover art. Kind of did that, and I was happy with it, but I don't think that I would end up doing anything like that for anything else.
I'll tell you what, though, the whole editing side of things, just because of that's what a lot of the stuff I did at MSG was, I would be hiring a lot of the photographers to, if we didn't use our regular freelancers, we would hire different people that the entertainment group wanted. And a lot of it came down to, were they good editors? Because they need to be good photographers, but some people, they had their own unique way to edit an image and stylize it. And I am thoroughly surprised every day about how important that is to your kind of repertoire. And I'm not saying I'm that way. I would love to eventually become that way, but that's a whole big thing, to be able to stylize it and not just have a plain photo. That's, I don't know, it's very interesting. And
it is true because I spent a lot of time editing the last couple of years, really learning. I mean, I've been involved with Photoshop since like version 3. I'm talking like 1997 or 98. That's how far back I go with Photoshop. But I've never learned it to the degree that I know it now over the last year and a half, that I've been really focused and doing a lot of the black and white to color stuff. Then also in Lightroom, developing presets and film looks and all kinds of shit like that.
Right.
It's an invaluable thing to learn.
But also knowing how to do it, but knowing how to do it fast in the middle of a concert so that it could be used that night and promoted for that show. That's also another, that you can be able to do it, but if you can't do it when a fast turnaround, then it's a whole different ballgame, and it's really something that's crazy.
iHeart does hire like photo editors, and we just basic edit. So if you're good at that and you can do that fast, that's awesome. But then as of late, what they've been doing is they have Wes and Alex as a team that does the iHeart stuff right now. They're still doing the iHeart performances. They're very like, nobody's in the audience, obviously, it's just live. So they're Wes and Alex are great photographers, and they shoot the pictures. And they have been using this photographer Skylar Barbiero. I think I said that name right. Anyways, like for instance, like this, like I don't know if you can see it, but like takes the pictures and makes really cool edits.
That's wild, yeah.
I wish I was that creative, but I'm not.
Yeah, that's wild. Do you
It
know
comes-
Brian Friedman at iHeart?
Yes, I love Brian.
Yeah, he's good. I was
So
just emailing him
nice.
last night. He's such a nice guy. Yeah.
Such a nice guy. Like, and he will, like, I will tell you, he like, it's funny because the first time I started working for iHeart when I was doing the editing thing, we had like a party the night before at one of the venues in Vegas. And like, I'm a shy person. Like, I don't like go and just like talk to people. So like, I'm sitting over there in a corner, not knowing anybody. And like, I was getting up to leave because I just didn't know anybody. And and Brian stopped me. He's like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go walk around. I don't know anybody."
He didn't let you probably, right?
He's like, "You come in
Yeah.
here. I'm going to introduce you to some people." He's the nicest.
Yeah, he's a
guy.
real nice guy. He's in Vegas now, and so he did some work for us at MSG. He would occasionally travel to New York for various things, so he still do shoots for us there. But then we did stuff in Vegas, especially with the Sphere happening there. So I know that he's hoping to be, I don't know where it stands now, but I know that he's hoping to be like the house guy for the Sphere, which I really hope that happens.
Yeah,
I hope
he's
that works
awesome.
out.
That'd
Yeah.
be cool. Kevin,
Yeah.
what do you got coming up now? What do you got over the next couple weeks?
So my day gig, I'm at Inked Magazine's place
Okay.
in Chelsea. So Inked Magazine's got like a network of like 3 million-ish or so followers. It's actually recently been bought out by Revolver Magazine. So it's all under this whole like Project M umbrella at the same time. So it's like I do media management for their studio, other management type stuff. And then I literally have a police scanner next to me and sit in my car and wait for buildings to catch on fire for shootings and
You're,
stuff.
you're running around like Kramer with the police scanner.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Literally,
what it
it
looks
turns into one of those things where like you become friends with other like industry media people, and we all try to. I mean, because it's a hustle. Like you don't
Yeah.
make money unless you sell the shot. So
Right.
it's like I'm around situations where it's like I'm next to a guy that just got shot like 20 seconds earlier sometime. And like there's still an active shooter out there. It's like I got fucking like I never thought like if someone did a revisit of what's in my bag for me to say I have a bulletproof vest sitting in my car that has press stick on it, I never thought the day would happen. But like it's literally it's like it's a game to where all of us are trying to figure out what the next thing is that's happening at the same time. I guess there was this like gas leak fire in Harlem earlier, and one of my press buddies that does video work was like, "Hey man, if you're around, grab this," because it's like if we know that somebody else that's good can get the footage, more than likely we can get the footage out and try to sell it, or I can like take it to their agency and they can turn around and sell it.
Right.
So it's like it's a who you know and how fast you can get there type situation.
Yeah.
And it turned into a lot of people that are like, "Hey, that's great that you have all these images." And it's like, I never thought that I'd have images in the New Yorker and like the Wall Street Journal and any of this stuff. Like, having stuff in like music magazines for years was cool. Like I thought that was nice. But then all of a sudden after like COVID hit and I've got some of my images in like galleries and like, other crazy things. Like I never thought images would be in like huge major publications over certain stuff that's happened. Especially
You gotta pivot. You gotta be able to pivot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the thing. I tried telling people, like some people got really, really crazy in the beginning of everything, just being like, what's going to happen? And it's like, dude, let's get out there and like shoot other things.
Yeah.
And the thing I did was like, let's try to do something. And like, I went full force into press work. Within 3 weeks, I was able to land my NYPD press badge, which normally would have taken 6 months.
Right.
But it was a matter of who how fast you can make it happen. And that's definitely helped me stay afloat a good bit at the same time.
Yeah.
You guys are doing awesome in quarantine. I'm doing terrible. Like I have a day job. Like I had a day job prior still, but like I have a day job. I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin did for years have a day job. He was running a tattoo shop.
Yeah, I had the tattoo
Multiple
shop I was
tattoo
running.
shops.
And then I went into becoming like the district manager of a laser tattoo removal company. And that was like, I was running our marketing meetings. I was doing, I was handling all of our events. Like we had 20, 30 events throughout the year that we were doing.
So you went to giving people tattoos to removing them?
Exactly. Yeah. And it was because I was the person in the industry that
That's
could
great.
like put on like what worked and what didn't work. And I mean, we're talking like I had a job that was paying 100K. Like it was nice and like everything was fine. And literally, like, granted, my wife did not like the fact that I would have to travel to Texas or other places a lot. But like it was almost a 9 to 5 job. Like I'd get out, I'd be home at 6 p.m. Like my wife would see me while it's still daylight out. Like these things never existed while we were together for like the 12 years or 13 years, you know, throughout this. And then literally they were like, everything's doing great. You're doing great with your job. We're so happy to have you on board. COVID.
Oh.
Hey, so your job just disappeared overnight. And
Yeah,
there was
I
no
felt for you.
thought of bringing it back.
I
And
felt
I
for
was
you.
just like, oh, fuck, I need to figure something out.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the only fucking maniac that's been freelancing for the past 6 years doing this. So when COVID hit, it was like, you know, all right, well, guess I'm not going to get events. It was so weird because I had the trade show one of the trade shows that I usually shoot is the USITT. It's the United States Institute of Theater Technology, and it travels around. And this year, well, last year, it was going to be in Texas, in Houston, and I had shot 3 different years for them in 3 different states. Like one was in Kentucky and St. Louis, Missouri, and I forget where else. It's like 3 of them. And they had paid, they usually give me a deposit, and then they ended up paying me in full because I've always shot for them. So it was like, all right, well, they're just going to pay me. And, you know, I booked my airfare, my hotel and all that stuff. So all of a sudden we're hearing, you know, in early March, we're hearing, all right, well, COVID, we don't know what's going to happen. We're not sure. Everybody's on the fence. Then all of a sudden, the first week of March, things are starting to shut down, right? So we're seeing the dial go down. Now I'm starting to panic because I'm like, oh, fuck, April 1st is the show. It's April 1st to the 4th, right? I'm like, now the 15th comes, everything gets shut down in New York, as Kevin and Zach know. Boom, done.
Now was my last day there.
They're still on the fence. So now about 3 days after, like the 17th, they decide, the USITT decides that they have to shelve it. They have no other, they can't, even though the cases weren't bad in Houston, they ultimately got worse there. They did not have the event. But I was fortunate enough to have gotten paid in full. And they are a nonprofit and are very kind, and I'm like family with them, and they're like, you know, just hold on to it, and next time we do an event, you know, we'll work it out. But if I didn't get that chunk of change right as that happened, you know, I lost everything. I had, you know, there were gigs booked for Hammerstein that I lost, and my Central Park gigs were all canceled, and my Summer Stage gigs were all canceled, you know, and it was I was like, what the fuck is going to happen here?
Right.
It was pretty scary, man. Still is.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely say that I took one hell of a hit, but I learned how to make the smaller amount work for me at the same time. So it's like I'm able to stay afloat. Am I struggling? Right. No, but I don't have a sock savings account at this point. You know, like you have to find a way to make things work.
I don't think many people have that.
Oh, my life is.
Yeah, I was doing Grubhub and food delivery for a little bit, and then I got a job at home working for like a hotel booking.
Oh, I contemplated food delivery as well. Anything. Like,
it was good money at the beginning of the pandemic.
For you, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was unemployment and still unemployment, gig worker unemployment, because I was able to show my taxes. And between that and the occasional portrait and the sales on eBay and, you know, the restoration gigs that I get from people, you know, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know.
That's what I'm hoping to do with some of my archives, to put it up on some places and get some type of sales going with that. Yeah, I know it's not going to be anything crazy, but that's what my ultimate goal is, to be able to get that. Because right now it's just sitting on my hard drives, that type of stuff. So I'm hoping that I can organize that all and get it finalized and get it in places. So I might ask you when I'm ready at that stage, I might email you, ask you what you know about good places to go to and where to sell or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a vast community for photographers to sell their work. So it's not like I won't volunteer what I'm doing to you guys, because your work is different than mine, and sometimes I'll have something that you won't have, and you'll have something that I won't have.
Well, I'm a terrible person, and I don't look at a lot of things I sign. So I just subscribe to the fact that I'm probably not going to be selling prints. So I don't sell prints, knowing that I don't remember if I signed a contract with anybody, and I don't want to ruin any relationships with any publicists or bands. So I just don't sell prints. I mean, now occasionally I will sell it to a friend who, under the table. But
that's okay. Everybody does that.
And
like the other day we had the snowstorm here, the blizzard, right? So I get a wild idea. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna trek up to Coney Island in 13 inches of snow, and I'm gonna get shots of the steeplechase and shots that I normally get in the bustling, summertime. And I'm gonna get these like unique shots of steeplechase and the carousel and all that shit. And I said, you know what? Why not? Because I might be able to sell them, right? I got to do fucking something. I'm bored out of my mind. So I went up there in the snow, took a bunch of shots, and came back down, posted them on Facebook. And a friend of mine's like, hey, I want to buy a 24 by 36 canvas of one of your shots that you posted.
That's awesome.
All right. I'm like, all right, I'll order it today.
Yeah.
Who were you using for your canvas prints?
I use Easy Canvas because they're cheap.
Oh yeah, I've used them before.
Have you tried CG Pro Prints?
That's where I was going at with this.
Love CG Pro Prints.
What is it?
Okay,
This
I'll
is
try it. Yeah,
this is the hidden gem of if you want to do some shit. So they're acrylic prints. Jen, have you gotten their
I
acrylic?
have not tried the acrylics yet.
Dude, so they're acrylic prints. They're 1/4 inch acrylic. They do dye sublimation directly to the acrylic, and then they mount it with Sintra. And it's all ready to hang like Adorama does with their metal prints and everything.
Sure.
So my 24 to 36 that I've done of the New Year's Eve shot, I wound up selling 2 of those for $600 each.
Mm-hmm.
They cost me 120 each, something like that.
Right.
I then got 2 canvas 24 by 36. And the canvas, the way they do it is it's like a hardbound canvas, and then they mount it with like a board on the back. So it's like inch thick,
foam
but
in
you can't puncture it. It's
so it's not flimsy like.
It's not flimsy at all. No.
The only thing I will say about CG Pro Prints, because I've been using them for years, and I live in the South where there's a lot of humidity. The back, because of the humidity here, has come off. The adhesive has kind of like a little bit come undone. But other than that, the quality of those canvases at what you pay for is phenomenal. Like, it is such a good price for what they have.
$60 for a 24 by 36.
Yeah.
What is it?
$60.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they'll sign up for their email, because they'll send you coupon codes. Like,
yeah. So I mean,
check that out.
I'll check that out, because I've been trying to do a lot more of my Coney Island stuff. Because I have, over the years, I've shot so much of Coney Island, whether it's been digitally or and a lot of times with my Holga and on film. So I have like tons and tons of shit from Coney Island. And, I was supposed to do like a couple of flea markets, put shit out, So I've been printing like a maniac lately.
Yeah, I've got
I did something
in my house that helps. Like I can do up to 16 by 20.
that's
but
nice.
half the times it's just cheaper for me to just do a bulk run through like Adorama or something.
That's what I do. I use Adorama picks, and I got it all set up where it literally, like, the order process for me on my eBay sales is like that. I don't even see the prints. I literally, I load.
You directly just ship.
It's direct to ship.
Well, how do you guys sign your prints? Like, if someone wants a sign print, I have so much trouble figuring that out. Like, do I sign on the picture? Do I sign on a mat? What do I do?
Bottom right corner. I've signed the bottom right corner for years on the print.
Okay, I've been doing that, but I just see that a lot of people say, and then also with numbering, like, I'm like, okay, well, I don't print often, so how do I?
The numbering thing tends to help simply for the fact that, let's say if you're selling musician prints, you're in theory allowed, most states, I think for the state of New York, you're allowed 250 fine art prints to be able to sell legally. Do people really number that and keep track of them? Probably fucking not. But like, you know, if it's like a certain series that you're like, okay, and also the it's a gray area too. So it could be like it doesn't specify 250 of that specific image. I mean, you could be like, okay, well, I'm going to do that image at a different size on a different type of paper, all that type of stuff. Like one's going to be on acrylic, one might be on canvas, and that starts a whole different numbering system. Like that was number 1 on acrylic, but it's also number 1 on, you know, rag at the same time.
I'm so.
I mean, I don't sign. I have a stamp that I put. I don't know if you could see that.
Oh, that's smart.
But I have a stamp, and I stamped the back of each photo with a stamp that I had custom made.
That's
And I just
smart.
stamped the back of them, and it keeps it on. And it says certified authentic, so you know it's me. And that's kind of how I do it. I usually don't sign my prints unless someone does ask for it, but I stamp all my prints that I actually sell individually, not through Adorama, because Adorama that you can't do it, although I'm trying to figure out how to get them to do it at this point. But anything that I do that's printed here that I sell individually to people, I hit with that stamp. So
I'm
they're
gonna
all.
steal that from you.
What's that?
I'm gonna steal that idea from you.
Paul Harry's, I think it's Paul Harry's that does it. I can't remember. It's one of the portrait photographers that I follow. He has something very similar. It's round. It's like his thing, but he presses it kind of like
yeah,
embosses it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Because I was trying to figure out a way like to keep things sort of authentic to my work, and I had like these little stickers that you could, if you scratch off, you know, they're like these little, I don't know, I think they're in here somewhere. I gotta look for them. But I was trying to figure out like what's the best. They were like these things. They're like these little.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're like these things, and I was sticking them on the side of frames and shit like that. And then I was like, I came up with the stamp idea, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do the stamp.
Yeah.
And I just stamped the back of the frame. You know, and that's it.
I did an acrylic print before. I forget now the company. It might have been like bigacrylics.com or something. I'd never heard of it before. I was just Googling it. But I did it in my it's hanging in my living room right now. It's a triptych of a shot from my honeymoon, actually, of like the sunset and with trees or something like that. But it's a big square in the center with the acrylic, just like you were talking about before, backed on the acrylic, where you don't even see any frame or anything like that, and 2 thin side pieces that continue with the frame. I love it though, doing that acrylic style. I'm gonna look at the CG.
Yeah,
I think it's a CG Pro.
No prints, like just Google it, out of Colorado. They're starting now to do a couple more things. They're doing like metallic prints and stuff. I got one of their metallic prints off them. It looks just like what Adorama would do.
Yeah.
Right.
It's got some good metallic prints for cheap. It's Nation's Photo Lab. I use them
use them all the time. I love them.
I love
that place.
Bay Photo. So
yeah, I've used Bay Photo. Bay Photo's a little weird. I've had conversations with them, and you know, when Adorama was pissing me off, but Adorama's made good on a lot of shit for me. So it's hard for me to go away from Adorama at this point. I mean, Adorama's given me hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of credits.
Oh yeah. I've contacted them where I'm like, hey, this is dinged or dented, and they're like, keep it. We're going to send you another one. So like, I will say Adorama's good with that.
Bay Photo is like a Nation's Photo Lab.
Kind of. So Bay Photo is, I think they're out in San Francisco.
They're in San Francisco, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I use them for all of our Misfit stuff that we do. So I don't know if you've seen the photo from like the reunion show, Jerry only holding up his bass in the air.
No, I haven't seen that. No.
Kind of like slinging off of them. It's used in like all the Live Nation posts and all that stuff. Okay. So that shot, what Jerry does is we'll order like 5,000 8x10 prints at one clip. Bay Photo will give those to us for 75 cents a piece. I've never seen anybody sell for that cheap.
No, they're cheap. They're definitely
Adorama.
cheap.
Yeah, even Adorama's like, we can't touch that. Like, you can order 5,000, and the cheapest it's going to be is like $1.25 or something.
Yeah, Adorama gives me a discount because I have their white box service.
Okay.
So I pay $15 extra a month to have that service and to have it all drop shipped from the eBay. So it's worth it for me to do. You know what I mean? Like I think I pay like $2.
Well,
what's that?
I may look into that as well, because especially like when I sell prints and I'll do a run, I'm like, man, I really don't want to sell like $20-$30 prints and have to sign it, go wait on picking them up somewhere, and then like deal with the packing of everything and standing in the post office. Like that time is so valuable to me.
It's a pain in the ass, man.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, screw it. I'm not gonna, like, if I do that where I'm like, I can sell it for $20 or $30 and not have to worry about like signing it and it just someone else ships it. Awesome. Like I may start considering that.
It takes me 30, maybe it takes me maybe a minute to fulfill the order. All of my photos, like I'll save the photos at the highest resolution possible. So say 24 by 36, if I can, in most of the images, and then you can work your way down from there. So that's all posted in a gallery. So I have separate galleries in AtL.
Yeah, archives are there as well.
And then when someone orders something on eBay, I get the order from them. Then I go to the gallery, take the photo, size the photo up, cut and paste, literally make sure that the money landed in PayPal, cut and paste it right in their name and the address right into where the shipping is, and just assign my PayPal account to it to pay. So basically the money that comes in from eBay into my PayPal account, and it gets taken out for the printing out of my PayPal account, because that's how I pay Adorama. So I basically work off my PayPal account. So I just keep, like, the number just keeps going up and up and up. And then if I have to move that money into checking, I do it. But most of the time I leave that money in my PayPal account, because then I can order stuff for myself through Adorama, or I can order stuff like Easy Canvas takes PayPal. So I'll just order Easy Canvas shit.
If you ever want posters, like of your prints, like cheap posters, because my kid likes some of the music that I shoot, surprisingly. So I'll get some posters for her room that I can just literally just put push pins in and not have to, really like frame it or anything. Poster Burner does like, it's like $20 and you can get like a full size, like actual poster of the print of yours. Nice. And it's like a movie size poster.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
I recommend glossy. Don't get the matte. I made a mistake getting the matte on that, and that was terrible.
I've tried everything. I've tried them all. I've tried, even Vistaprint I use for posters sometimes, and and they're
looking for like something thin, like even the ones at Poster Burner are a little bit thick. I want like the kind of posters that you put up in your room when you're in high school. Like I want like a thin like paper material like that. I'm trying to find that.
Paper light on the backside, smells like your elementary school, like
It's hard to find places. I don't know who would print like one-offs of that, because that's all offset work. It's all 4-color separation offset stuff, which is like my old career. I used to work in printing places when I was a kid, so it's like I've been around it since I'm like 14, like in and out of like printing shit. Like, so also there's a couple of other cool things that I print that are like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Printify. There's so Printify you can print on any kind of thing, and this is like a makeup pouch.
Oh, cool.
So island things. So when I print these things up.
Oh, you were doing like the backpacks before, right?
Yeah, and I'll show you. I'll grab the backpack, but they're amazing. They're crazy. Like, that's what they do. Here's a backpack that I did that has photos on it.
That's fun.
And it costs about $32 for this.
That's awesome.
And then I did another one with some film noir photos, because I repurposed a lot of the film noir photos.
That is so cool.
I have the soup
Yeah.
nuts. So you have the soup nuts. So these are really cool. I mean, they're amazing. It's crazy. And I've given them as gifts to some of my clients, and they freak out, man. They're like, holy shit.
I'm always like,
cool.
as a wedding photographer, it's fun to like deliver images like in a cool way to like, and so like sometimes like I'll set up like boxes, and like one time I did where you could do what are they called? Like you put the little round thing in it and you can look through it. Viewmaster.
Oh, I've done one of those too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's a cool wedding present to give people a few of the images on a Viewmaster, and they have them white, so you can get them like wedding color.
That's cool.
Yeah, I did one for the King's Theater as a gift when I was the house photographer there. I did a viewmaster of a whole bunch of the photos that I have taken over the years,
That's so
and
cool.
she freaked out. She was like, "This is awesome."
Yeah, that's cool.
It's very cool.
I did this thing for like one of the last weddings that I shot. I sponsored by Lomography, and then like Fujifilm sent me a shit ton of their like Instax film. And what I did was they actually just sent me, like, as soon as they heard that Lomography sent me a bunch of their cameras, they're like, we're gonna send you our digital one. And the nice thing is they're like the Fuji Instant Square camera.
Yeah.
You can actually put a micro SD card in there. So I'll take images that I've shot at a wedding. I've then put them on the micro SD card, put them into the Instax camera, then turned around and printed the photos that I shot with like my high resolution camera. And I'd print those out with the wedding photos. So like detail shots, the bride getting makeup done, her makeup and hair done, like the first kiss, the dance, and all that stuff. And I'd put together this little like photo album with all the instant film images in a box.
That's a great idea.
And all that stuff. And like, it's on instant film, but it's just like it has that little touch, like it's like nostalgia at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have the Instax printer, so I can take any picture from my phone or on my camera and put it in the not Polaroid, but it's Instax.
Her husband cried when I gave that to
Oh,
that's great.
So when I did my photo opening in October right before COVID, the space had these little couches on it. So I made these pillows with my badges over the
Oh,
that is so.
that's awesome.
You know what that reminds me of? Do you guys
pretty awesome, right?
have you seen that dress?
You see this?
You can make pillows.
I have not done anything yet.
You can make pillows of your badges.
That's smart.
They don't question this.
Is that
That's
from
a good idea.
Printify?
Printify, yeah, you could print out anything, but the pillows with the badges was kind of like an idea unique.
That's awesome.
Me. Like, this is pretty fun.
There's a photographer that made a dress out of her photo passes.
Get out of here.
During
That's
COVID, I wound up realizing that there's a lot of communities where people want those passes and pics and stuff. And I'm like, you want to know something? Screw it. I've had years and years and years of these things. I've had my memories. I've made my money on shots at the same time. I put things in there and people would bid on them, and like passes that I'm like, whatever. Like I would have thrown it out. People are paying like up to $50 for something.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I bid on I got a photo pass from so my favorite band is Bruce Assault. And I looking back on the question that you asked, if I didn't realize that you're asking like in the past, kind of, I would have gone back in the 90s and shot Bruce Assault because that's my favorite band. I bid on like a photo pass for one of the shows that I never would have been at because I was too young. Well, I guess I could have gone, but my mom didn't let me out like that to concerts. But I mean, I would buy those things.
Yeah,
people do buy them. They sell them on eBay. They do.
Wow.
I saw hundreds of my passes like over COVID.
No kidding.
I was just like, whatever, screw it. Like, yeah, turn around and sell them. There's a Facebook community on like pics and passes. And there's like the way the guy sets it up is it's like you'll put up about 100 images, and he has like a method like you put up the post, and then in the comments you put like the image, what the band was or whatever it is, and then it's like starting bid $1. And you're like, oh man, I don't know if I'd really do this for $1. He's like, no, trust me, like it goes for 3 days, it gets crazy in the end. I had guitar picks that like people had given to me that I would have probably lost somewhere. Like that documentary Murder in the Front Row that came out not long ago. They made guitar picks, and Alex Skolnick gave me a couple of them. I put one of those in the thing, and people went nuts. It sold for $50 for the goddamn pick. And I was just like, this is nuts. Yeah.
So I have like one of the Welcome to Rockville's I was at. What was the name of the band? I don't even remember. I don't even remember the name of the band. Oh my gosh, I have a terrible memory. Anyways, the guitarist broke his guitar on like right in front of me. I'm talking like giant pieces of his guitar were flying around me. And so I just picked up a piece and took it with me. I wonder if that would sell anything.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know. I mean, there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit on eBay that you would never think You would never even think why people would even sell it, let alone buy it. You know,
I've been thinking about what to do with all my passes too, and I have to go through them all. But like a pill is a cool idea. I was thinking maybe like a poster or something, but
definitely
wall
scan
space
them.
is hard to come by. Yeah, scanning is a good idea. Yeah,
Scan them all because they're good to have, and then you could come up with some, something, you can make a shower curtain. I mean, Printify prints on pretty much everything, and
Yeah.
they used to give you a hard time about like, because when I first started using them, I would do like I did a Volbeat shirt because Volbeat's one of my favorite bands, right? So like I did a Volbeat shirt, and I'm like, no, they were like, they kicked it back because they're like, you don't have the rights to this photo. I'm like, no, I took the shot. Print the fucking t-shirt. You know what I mean? But they
I was thinking
up on
like
that.
a blanket. I was thinking about like doing blankets with the shirts from tours I've been to, but
Yeah, you could do
I
that.
never came around to doing that.
I did one for my daughter because my daughter is was a huge Falling in Reverse fan. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I've shot Falling in Reverse more times than any other band, like 9 or 10 times. And I have different photos of them. And I made a big blanket for her for Christmas of all different
cool.
photos. And she loved it.
That's cool.
So yeah, you should think about making.
Sorry, was Radke ever not a dick during any of those shoots?
There was one show that I didn't shoot during I think Whoop tour that he put the cut. Yeah, he just got he got like an itch up his ass, and he was like, no photographers.
Yeah.
We showed up. We literally showed up where we went from, how Warp Tour set up where you go like through the pit from one stage to the other. So we walked through one pit to the other, and they were getting ready to come on. And I forget, I think Natalie was the PR, Natalie Camillo, I think her name is. And now he doesn't want any photographers now. I'm like, oh, fuck him.
He's boring to photograph anyways.
That's crazy.
Back and forth. That's all.
He just runs back and forth. Yeah, you just got to stay in the middle. I watch all the other photographers that never shot him. They're like going here, and I'm just like waiting for him to stop, twirl the microphone, just catch a shot of him, and that's it. And he goes back. He just keeps running back and forth. That's it. But that was interesting putting that blanket together. So you should think about doing something like that with your badges, Zach. I mean, definitely scan.
I definitely need to do that. Yeah, but the priority right now is my old archive of images. So I feel like the passes, they've been in that bag on the floor for a long time now. So I don't know.
As long as you own those. So what photos? Yeah. What photos do you own? Like over the years, like obviously the garden ones you don't own, but what other stuff do you own?
All the Hofstra stuff I've done, all my personal stuff. Obviously, I own that kind of stuff. So I mean, all my personal stuff is more like landscape things, which actually this right here. I want to do something with that. It's kind of hard to see, but that's the High Line in the city.
Oh, okay.
On the wall, like I know, like stuff like that. I do a lot of things like that kind of generic but nice looking. So I feel like something like that could go well. But
people buy that stuff, man. People like buying that stuff, especially sell it on eBay and stuff like that. Like for some reason, people didn't buy. Like I put a bunch of nice shots up of like Radio City Music Hall, like the front one, the marquee. Said, see you soon or whatever the fuck it said. And I put them up, but they didn't sell for some reason. But like it's weird what sells on eBay. It's like really weird from one week to the next. But like I said, the rush photos for some reason have sold a lot. And and some Metallica stuff too.
Yeah.
You probably would sell a bunch of Metallica stuff too, Kevin.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I might put 1 or 2 images up, kind of see where that goes. I'll put up maybe some of the New Year's stuff.
The New Year's stuff would sell. You probably would sell a bunch of New Year's stuff. If you take a shot of the acrylic one, and then you post the photo that you took of the acrylic, and then say they're available in acrylic, limited edition or whatever. Yeah, people will buy that shit, man. Especially now because of what went on. There was no. I mean, there was a ball drop, but there's nobody there.
Well, I had like, police officers actually hit me up that were like, "Hey, like we were there, like my wife couldn't go because it was such a reduced crowd of people, and like we're talking 50 press people, maybe at that, were able to be in this pen." And then 2 blocks north was where they were doing the actual like talent. So Jennifer Lopez and all that stuff were there, but nobody was shooting that stuff. It was all done through the network because of social distancing. But it was like,
I know, because I know
story-
Kevin Mazur took a couple shots and he said that he was way
I
back.
think got in trouble.
He probably did.
Kevin sneaks into areas because he's Kevin Mazur. So
Yeah,
like he played dumb for a little bit of it and worked his way up front to be able to get a couple shots of like
J-Lo, yeah, I know. Yeah.
And it was just like, all right, he played the game. He knew what he was going to get. And then right before the ball dropped, he was doing that. When I was talking to all the guys in the Press Photographers Association, the whole thing was like, the story isn't the New Year's talent. The story is an empty Times Square on New Year's.
That's
Never
yeah, of
happened.
course, definitely, yeah.
It's in like 1942, there was like a blackout that it was empty, like there was no ball drop, but there were still people in Times Square. Outside of that, this is the first time ever that nobody was allowed in Times Square. Like businesses, like your business was not allowed to be open. You could not, like if you had a storefront that was in that area, you had to close.
Right.
So it was just such a surreal experience. I would have loved to have been able to have my wife go with me, but she stood too. Being able to have that opportunity, it was like, that's once in a lifetime. Like there's just, you have to take it.
No, definitely. That was a smart move on your part. You were never going to get that again. Well,
hopefully that will never happen again.
Who knows? At this stage in this country, who knows, right? But hopefully we won't. Right, exactly.